Hi, I'm Megan.
I'm Dr. Alicia Lima Eid.
I'm Heather, one of the technicians, and together we are
The Bark at Beaties. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, The Bark at Beaties. Our third, yeah, actually. And today we're going to be talking about something that's very close to the heart, something that just worms its way in. I'm wearing red. It's heartworm. We're going to talk about heartworm today. Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. Yes.
Oh man, heartworm. It's something that the worm, the myth, the legend, but it's real. It's not a legend. People don't believe heartworm is real, and it is real. And we're here to explain why it is a danger to your pets. Okay, so heartworm, literally as the name suggests, it is a worm that lives and grows and stretches and kills the heart muscles. It is, think of like a bowl of really yucky spaghetti, and the bowl is your heart, and the worms live inside, and then you can't get any kind of pasta sauce or anything when the worms are in there so darn tight. And
yeah, especially since the bowl's not designed to have this particular kind of pasta in there.
It's really not. And you want to add in the pasta sauce, because otherwise it's just a bowl of noodles, and the pasta sauce is your blood.
And I'm going to be off pasta for a little bit.
But yeah, you didn't get scared off a bunch of parasites when we talk about things that look like spaghetti, fettuccine, angel hair pasta.
Gonna be some zoodles from now on.
I'm looking forward to that podcast episode where we talk about all the intestinal parasites and what kind of foods they look like.
When I was in vet school, we had a little, we'd do like a play at the end of the year, and one of the segments was I was a game show host, and we had images on the screen, and we had to guess if it was lunch or lesion, and we had to guess if it was something gross from veterinary medicine or a food item. So that'll put you off from some food items for a bit. But back to the pasta or heartworm. So yes, heartworm is worms, or are worms that are transmitted by mosquitoes. And this is the really important part, is that they are transmitted by mosquitoes. You have an infected mosquito and it's buzzing around and it's flying. It lands on your dog or your cat, but primarily dogs, injects the larvae into the bloodstream when it is taking a meal. That little larvae or baby heartworm then grows and grows and grows to become an adult, and then replicates. And then after some time, short period of time, you have a bunch of adult heartworms, which are quite long, living in the different chambers of your heart, in the bloodstream, in the arteries, and they clog them up. And then eventually what happens is there's no circulation, the heart muscles get stretched, they get damaged, there's insult to them, and you can and your pet can die. So it is a very serious condition, and is transmitted all by little annoying mosquitoes. And that's why I think it's scary. It's a serious condition, is because mosquitoes can get into anything. Your screens, they can get in through windows. They're in the backyards. Again, this time of year, being early spring, early summer, we find mosquitoes are out there. How many times you get bit outside, and your pets are exposed to those same mosquitoes.
Yeah, and it's wild because I even discovered on myself a mosquito bite the other day, and I did not see that mosquito coming. Like, I was outside, I did not hear a mosquito, but like that's the thing, they're so sneaky when it's not the middle of the night and they're high pitched whining.
Right.
But like they're ninjas.
Yeah, you don't even know that they're there. And I have a mosquito bite that I got the other day, and I've scratched the heck out of it. It's a big wound right now. So they're out there.
Don't do that.
Yeah, very inconspicuous. You rarely ever see them land on your pet, and it's usually, within seconds they've had their blood meal and they're off to the next the host there. So they don't stay on the pet quite as long as we anticipate, like ticks. They bite, and then that exposure happens, and it happens without us even knowing it most times.
But the good news is that we can prevent heartworm transmission, and your pet getting it, and that is with your prevention. So oftentimes your prevention for your heartworm is bundled into other parasite prevention. So if you watched our first episode on ticks, we talked about tick prevention, and oftentimes not all, but a lot of the tick preventatives out there have a heartworm prevention in there as well. And you will have heard your veterinary team at some point say, let's do a heartworm test, which we now know doesn't just test for heartworm, but it also tests for other tick-borne diseases too. But it will pick up if there is an active infection of heartworm in your pet. And like Megan said, they're tiny, right? You don't know they're there. You don't often see them bite your pet, not like a tick. It's not always obvious. So it is really important that your pet be tested yearly for heartworm, because traditionally June to November, and again we talked about this in our last episode, June to November is your typical time that you would prevent against heartworm. However, we know, like, what is it? It's early spring, May, and we're having mosquito bites. So for pets that only followed the June to November, they have just been exposed and you wouldn't know. So that testing is really, really important. And the testing then will, tell us, okay, are we in the clear? Great, let's continue on that prevention. Or have we come across and uncovered something that now we need some serious intervention?
Yeah, because the fun fact about that test is it's not testing for those baby heartworms that the mosquito just gave. Because that actually is very hard to detect without doing a much more specific test. Mm-hmm. What this test is doing is it's checking for adult infestation from the previous year. So if your pet wasn't on prevention consistently and missed a dose or two, we're checking to make sure that there are no adults in the system before we give the preventatives. Mm-hmm. Because those preventatives, they're going to be killing off the baby heartworms that the mosquito has given your pet. So it's May when we're recording this, and mosquitoes are starting to be active. We're starting to get into that above 14-degree weather, which is important to the life cycle of heartworm. There's so many steps involved in their life cycle. But with that, with the mosquitoes being active, June's dose is going to be taking care of any heartworm babies that were given this month. July's dose will take care of June's. And so it continues, and that's why we're doing it until November, and because the weather in October is still above 14. So that's why November, it's starting to get cold. Do we really need that dose? Yes, you do.
I think that's where the breakdown comes in too, because we don't always associate the dose with being retro grade, in the sense that we're the month behind. A lot of owners are like, well, do I really need it for November? And you do, because you're treating it for October when you're giving the November dose. And a lot of that's some of the things that can go over clients' heads sometimes as far as the prevention is concerned.
And we have a lot of, reasons why people are like, oh, I don't need my pet to be on prevention. And, certainly there are some misconceptions, I think. Some of the biggest misconceptions about why your pet doesn't need heartworm treatment is, well, we have a fence in our backyard. Our pet's pretty safe when it goes out there. Well, I don't know about you, but I still get bitten through the fenced yard. I do. It's crazy.
As a human, I can attest to this.
I can tell you that when I'm sitting there on my my back deck, or I'm walking around in the grass, they find me. They find my pet.
Everything from the citronella spray collars to the citronella candles. And I'm sorry, but not an effective means to. The citronella is not enough to keep them away.
You could have the biggest citronella candle in your backyard, and it's not enough. I'm not gonna a big one.
Yes, I can only imagine it would be like
oh my god, like a tree,
a kid-sized pool.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, yeah, someone could make one in that. Not a fire hazard at all.
No.
Shouldn't be. Not during the drought seasons that are no doubt upon us.
But my pet only goes outside short periods of time just for bathroom breaks. Otherwise, we live in an apartment. Which I get the logic there. But during that time, when your pet goes outside to use the facilities or be on the grass, there are mosquitoes out there. Anywhere where there is standing water, we know this. Yes. We know that mosquitoes like to make nests and create new generations anywhere that there is standing water. So that could be in the ditch, in the parking lot of the apartment complex. And you're walking, your little dog by there and they can pick it up.
Dumpsters usually have wet garbage. Okay. It's gross. It's disgusting. Dumpsters. Bugs are there. Mosquitoes too. And the door that lets you into the apartment, great news. It can let them in too.
100%. If there's any faultiness to your screen door, they're MacGyvers. They will get in.
They're hungry.
I could remember as a kid, we're like, how are all these mosquitoes getting in the house? And there was like one little small, infraction in the, or little what's the word?
Perforation?
Perforation,
Perforation,
excuse
tiny
me, in
one.
the screen, and that was enough to let the swarm in.
Let the swarm. Let us in.
They
We want your pet's blood.
food. They're
We didn't have pets
determined.
at the time, but we woke up itchy. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so windows, right? Like anything. There is a million and one thoughts as to why your pet shouldn't be tested, but there's one really important reason why you should, and that's heartworm, because we have seen it. And Unfortunately, we have seen pets come in deceased and they drop dead in their backyard, and the owners have no idea why. And once we do the necropsy, which is fancy veterinary lingo for an autopsy, we find that the heart is literally packed with worms. So we don't want that. That's awful. We don't want that for any pet. And so that's why there's the strong recommendation. And treatment is awful. Treatment is expensive. Treatment is lengthy. Treatment is hard on their system. So instead of making your pet and you go through the treatment once your pet is positive, just do the prevention. It is much more cost effective to do prevention than to do the treatment if your pet is positive.
I think we did the math one year, and it was 7 years of prevention equaled 1 year of treatment.
Right. Like that's
half your pet's lifespan, full lifespan if it's a great day.
And still the idea of why would you want to have to put your pet through the treatments? The treatments are not easy on their bodies. They have to be hospitalized. They have to be monitored. They have to be given oftentimes like steroids and anticoagulants to prevent any secondary complications from treatment. So instead of that, have them on prevention. And we know things are costly, like the way the world is right now, things are very costly. So it doesn't mean you have to get all your prevention up front. You totally can, or you can do it month by month. Make it a little bit more manageable, break it down, make it a little bit easier to swing.
Yeah, because we try to make it so that if you buy your 6-month supply, you get it a little bit cheaper than individual doses. But that's doesn't fit everybody's lifestyle. A couple of the manufacturers that we work with, they'll actually have like little rebates, and it might not be much that you get back, but if you buy a minimum of 6 months, and that can be over individual monthly doses that you're buying. Like if you keep all your receipts from if you started in May and you're going till November and you make that 6-7 month thing, you can submit for like a small rebate that they'll be able to set you up with.
And your veterinary clinic will know all the ins and outs of those rebates and how they work. So there's ways, I think, to try and make it affordable, because yes, obviously things are very expensive right now. But I can tell you that heartworm treatment is very expensive. And it's lengthy. It's over like the course of 8 months that you're treating your pets. So prevention is the key.
And what did you say our numbers were at for our clinic as far as positive?
Let's read the stats.
Yeah, so far this year we've already had 1 heartworm positive case. Last year we had 4. 2 were from the same household even, and that's just how that cookie crumbled. It was their first time testing. The year before that, 2024, we were okay with only 2, but we've consistently had 2021. We had 6.
That's a lot.
6 heartworm positive cases. When it's something that a lot of pets are testing to check to make sure that last year we were good, we were consistent, we were on prevention. But often those cases, it was either, we weren't really on it. There's a lot of cases of pets only getting 1 or 2 doses a season instead of 6, especially with the monthly preventatives. Last year in Ontario, in our postal code, there were 11 heartworm positive cases. We had 4 of them.
That's a lot. Anywhere where you're living, like demographically, if you're living in an area where there is a river nearby, traditionally, like we're by the Grand River, so we have like kind of a little hot zone or a belt, you could say, of subdivisions and property around that are very, very positive, like have a very positive population of mosquitoes with heartworms. So they're there, and again, it's they don't stop at a fence or a gated community, or they're not scared of the citronella.
They're not. No, they're not.
So the key is prevention, and it's something that your clinic will work with you. If you can't do the prevention all at once for the 6 or 8 months, then at least do it monthly to prevent your pet from getting sick.
And now, how does this relate to cats? Because I know dogs are like the primary host of heartworm.
Yeah, and I think cats they can get it. So cats can get heartworm. It's a little bit different. Treatment's a little bit different with them. Their systems not that they tolerate it better, but we see it a little bit differently than we do in dogs. And I think for cats, their risk is a lot lower because of the nature of cats. They are not out as much as dogs, you know. Yes, we talked about, you know, the apartment dog that can still go outside and get it, but you're typically not taking your cat out, you know, by the dumpster.
That's right.
Or walking by the ditch. So cats can get it, but it's much less of a concern. Cats, we worry more so about fleas. Like fleas in cats are incredibly common, and that's because in, you know, apartments, condos, or even in their backyards, people can track in fleas. People can track in, you know, those kind of parasites, and cats can pick them up. So there's other things that cats, I think, are at a higher risk factor for than heartworm. But oftentimes your flea and tick prevention for your cats will also have a heartworm preventative in there as well. I can think of a few.
Yeah. So clinically speaking, if you have a pet that's being presented to you and we have extreme lethargy, maybe a dry cough of some kind, no 40x testing or heartworm testing on file, would that be something that you would want to, you know, ask the owner if they were comfortable to rule that out?
I think that's a great starting point for sure, especially if you have that history of no prevention, spends a lot of time outside, and there's a cough going on. Those are pretty big red flags that there could be the potential for heartworm. Again, your demographic is also huge, right? There are certain areas in Ontario which are much lower risk, but I know here in Brant County, yeah, absolutely. And so your 40x testing is often going to be brought up by your veterinarian as a starting point. Let's just get that out of the way. The news, as we learned, is going to check to see if there's been any tick-borne disease exposure as well. So if you get that off the table, great. Then you can kind of focus in and see what are the other reasons for it. But absolutely, that is going to be a starting point for sure. Because
even the cheapest one too, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For all the diagnostics, it's going to be one of your most economical tests for sure, and really give you a lot of information there. So yeah, if you notice that your pet and it isn't on prevention, or you've missed a dose, or you're noticing there's a cough, or you're worried, bring him in. We'll check. It's thankfully a very minimally invasive test. It's a small bit of blood. We run it in house. In 15 minutes, we know. So yeah, that's a great starting point. And in terms of, you know, regular checkups, again, if you are worried that you've missed a dose or you haven't been on prevention, highly recommend yearly testing for your pet. Because otherwise you are gambling a little bit. You are. Because as we learned, it is not just June to November where your pets can be exposed. So if you've had exposure in April and now it's June and you're like, I don't think I really want to test, you're leaving. There's a 2-month window where your pet could have been exposed. So
yeah, especially if I'm a big fan of asking this question in appointments too. Is, do you guys have any plans for traveling? And that includes to the States or across the country or across the world. Because yeah, heartworm season here traditionally June to November. But if you guys go down south to Florida to visit family during the winter, great news, you're getting some heartworm prevention to go with you because they have it year round.
100%
game changer down south. Because yeah, like that's a big thing for me is double checking. Like, okay, if we're traveling,
that's a good point.
Let's test.
Yep.
Because the last thing you want to do is assume that you're doing everything by the book, you're getting it perfect, and then you discover that there was a window that you missed. And then even if you are militant about giving your prevention on time, never missed a dose, we still want you to test. And that's part because we want to make sure it's being effective, which it absolutely should be. And if for some reason, despite your best efforts, that pest comes back positive for heartworm, we're going to be reaching out on your behalf to the manufacturer. Because they have proven to the highest standards from Health Canada that their product works. And if something failed, we need to know what.
So yeah, I think testing is really important. I think it's a popular concept. There's a lot of misconceptions as to why your pet shouldn't be, but shouldn't have testing. But I think it's really important. And nobody wants to treat a pet for heartworm. Like really, it's so preventable, and it's awful for the poor pet. So,
and we'll do it. Like there's no shame. Like if you find out your dog is heartworm positive, we're not going to sit in the treatment area and snicker about like, oh, what an irresponsible pet owner. No, we're going to focus on the moment. Yeah, we're going to focus on what needs to get done for Cujo, for Fifi, for Fluffy. We're going to get going.
Big dog, little dogs, all affected. Cujo or Fluffy.
Yeah, I was about to say it's always the best dogs though. It's never the ones that want to bite your face off. It's the ones that are like, I deserve to live. And I love you so much, and my tail wags 90% of the day.
Yeah. So yeah, heartworm is real. If you're concerned, call us, talk to us. If you're worried about your exposure or you're not sure what your exposure risk is, talk to us. We'll help you figure it out. But prevention, I mean, there's so much benefit to prevention because of the multifaceted approach, right? So heartworm, fleas, ticks, and internal parasites as well, which will be something we talk about at another point. But heartworm, very much an internal parasite because it lives in the heart. Maybe they do it. I don't know. They do it this way now. I don't know how kids do
Is
it
that how
now.
they do it?
I don't know. We did it like this, okay? We did it like this.
Yeah,
This is
that's
OG.
back in the
Yeah.
So
We're gonna
nobody
have to-
wants a heartworm. That's a broken heart.
We're all millennials here. You'll have to forgive us.
So, if anybody has any questions about today's episode or anything they want us to answer, burning thoughts, comments, please just send us a message. We're on Instagram and we are also on TikTok as well as Facebook. Bark at Beaties. Send in your questions and we'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah.
Well, that I think concludes this episode.
This episode of the Heartworm in Southern Ontario.
Heartworm Southern Ontario.
Heartworm, Southern Ontario.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.